The film opportunity came about through a back door. It's sort of analogous to the John Hammond story. It turns out that Philip Kaufman, the director who made Invasion of the Body Snatchers, was from Chicago and had heard me play years earlier, liked my playing, and had it in his head someday he wanted me to do a jazz score for one of his movies. So when Invasion of the Body Snatchers was just in the formative stages on the screenplay board, he called me and asked me if I would be interested in it. And at that time, the protagonist, played by Donald Sutherland, was going to be an avocational jazz man.
Oh.
And so it was going to be very easy for that to be the legitimacy for a jazz score. But then as the script evolved, he went from being a jazz player to a deputy public health officer, and now they wanted a 20th century classical musical score and electronics and everything. And I had no established credentials for doing that at all. So I had to convince first Phil that I could do it, and then a much tougher sell was to convince his producer, Bob Solo, that I could do it. I had this unique experience of bringing to bear everything I had ever done in music, or wanted to do, because I wanted someday to write for an orchestra and figured it's never going to happen. When will I ever have the time to do this, or access to an orchestra to play it? And here I had a 10-week period to get this thing done. So for the first time in my life, I closed my office for 5 weeks. I had advance notice, so patients knew about it. Nobody got in any trouble. But it was a big step for me to close my office for 5 weeks and then have it open for 5 weeks half-time. So I had some time over a 10-week period to work on this score, which was tremendously demanding, because I was writing for a full symphony orchestra for the first time, plus overdubbing electronic instruments and effects on that symphonic performance. So I'd go down to LA. There'd be a symphony orchestra that would play the piece. I would take the tapes back to San Francisco, and I'm sitting at the 10-voice Prophet synthesizer, which was state-of-the-art
Yes,
back then.
I had one.
And it was going out of tune every cue, and I'd have to turn it off till it cooled down and turn it on again, right?
Isn't that amazing?
You remember that?
We think it's so primitive now.
But then it was the cat's meow.
Yes.
So I was using that and all these other keyboard stuff and overdubbing on those tapes. So it was a dizzying procedure. And I remember, I was working 18 to 20 hours a day on this. My wife would come down sometimes at 2 in the morning and scrape me off the piano stool, drag me upstairs and dump me into the hot tub to reconstitute. I mean, it was something. And so when it was over, I was thrilled to have had the experience and to get a soundtrack album out of it and everything. But it was so exhausting, plus some of the political and interpersonal things that happened towards the end involving actually getting paid. I said, once was enough. I'm lucky to have done it. I'm lucky that I did get paid because they wanted a soundtrack album bad enough, so money had to be forthcoming. I said, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead.